What's up, you guys? Welcome back again to your Heroclix headquarters. Today, we're going to be talking about an Avengers theme team that I've thrown together with some new figures that I really wanted to show off because I really like this team a lot. I think it's really good. Now, there's not a whole lot of competitive events going on at the moment, so I don't have a whole lot of ability to test this out like super hyper competitively, but I think it definitely has some merit if you want to try this out in any local competitive events. I think it'll be pretty good. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. First of all, of course, like I said, this is a theme team, so we're going to be playing both versions of Scott Porter. They're just absolutely too good to not be using on any theme team. They kind of almost require you to play theme teams because they're both just that freaking good. So in case you guys don't already know what they do, I'll just quickly go over them here. The black shirt, or Heroclix for Huntington, Scott Porter, has this trait that when establishing theme teams, choose any keyword, then choose a team ability that another friendly or opposing character has on their dial. This game, Scott Porter has the chosen keyword and team ability. During game setup, if Scott Porter is part of a theme team, increase the result of your roll for first player by +1, which is really good because we do usually want to be going first with this team. This is very Alpha Strike kind of Avengers team. He also has, Sidestep, TK, Perplex, which is all great support powers for cheap, but if I cannot drop his card here, let's see. He also has support traded, and at the beginning of your turn, Scott Porter may heal a friendly character one click, which is great. So he can be healing our team up while he sits back and spawn, chilling over there, which is pretty much what he's going to do after he, uses his Perplex and TK to get them into the fight. And then he also has this trait that if Scott Porter is part of a theme team, he starts the game with 3 community tokens. If Scott Porter has any community tokens, once per turn, you may re-roll any roll. If you do, after resolutions, remove a community token from Scott Porter. So he can be re-rolling rolls from across the map. And not just your attack rolls, that's any roll. So you could, re-roll your opponent's super senses or shape change roll, impervious, all that kind of stuff. In case your attack hit, but they hit senses, you're like, no, I really need this attack to hit. So there's lots of great stuff you can do with that. He also has super senses, and then friendly characters modify defense +1 when adjacent to a friendly character that shares a keyword with them. So even across the map, he's giving our whole team +1 as long as they're adjacent to somebody, which is just super good. And then you also have the white shirt Scott Porter. This Scott Porter has all keywords even when he is not on the map, which is great because that allows us to get in a few good sideline pieces. But then his next trait here says, at the beginning of the game, if Scott Porter is on a theme team, other friendly characters modify attack +1 as long as Scott Porter is on the map. So that's huge. Map-wide +1 attack for our entire team because this is a theme team. And then at the beginning of the game, if all other friendly characters are from the same Heroclix set, then other friendly characters modify damage +1 as long as he's on the map. They're not all from the same set, so we're not going to get that. But the +1 attack is huge. You also got Sidestep and Prob, and you also have a knockback and pulse wave special attack power that doesn't target friendly characters, which is huge. Just being able to pulse wave and not target your friendlies is so good. And then knockback, so you get the extra knockback damage on top of the pulse wave. Very good. And then he also has a stop click with regen, and when he uses it, you can heal each adjacent friendly character one click as well. So not only can he heal himself off his stop click, he can heal your friendlies. He's also a team player, so he can copy a team ability if need be, but more on all that later. So let's move on to one of our primary attackers here, this amazing, super freaking cool looking, brand new Captain America riding a Pegasus from the new convention exclusives from Worlds. This dude is going to be pretty much our primary attacker for the most part. So taking a look at his card here, he has Energy Shield Deflection, Leadership. Other friendly characters that are adjacent or that have Asgardian or Avengers keywords can use Energy Shield Deflection. So he's also just giving our whole team Energy Shield Deflection, which is insane. Even our Scott Porters, across the map, get that ESD to help them defensively. We're playing him at the 40-point line. Of course, he's just so good for 40 points. He's amazing for 125, but I'd rather play 3 of him for 40 than 1 for 125, if we're being honest. However, we are only playing the 1 because we have a lot of other characters on this team that are great also. Improved movement characters is nice, but then over here, his special movement power, hypersonic speed, when he uses it and hits after resolutions, choose up to 2 friendly characters. This turn, the chosen characters can use charge and modify their speed +1 when they use it. So hypersonic speed is great, but also just handing out charge to our friendlies and an additional +1 to speed is just super useful. And then the main reason this toot is here, Jarnjaborn. When Captain America targets a single character with an attack, that character can't use defense powers. So good. Gets right through, any stop click that's on a defense power. Gets around Mastermind, Super Senses, Combat Reflexes, Energy Shield Deflection, Impervious, Invincible, literally anything that is a defense power, standard or special, is not going to be able to be used when he single targets that character. So very, very powerful. 11 attack, 3 damage, Avengers TA, so he can bump himself to a 12 on the right targets, which, if you guys don't know, at the beginning of the game, for all friendly characters with this trait, you can choose a team ability on an opposing character, and then this character modifies attack +1 when attacking one or more characters with the chosen team ability printed on their base. So your whole team that has Avengers TA gets +1 on whatever team ability you choose at the beginning of the game. So he could easily get himself to a 12, and with the Avengers TA, and then a 13 because of Scott Porter. So pretty good odds of hitting, given that they can't use any defense powers. Now, in order to get this guy across the map, because he is double based, you see that? Double base, peanut base, whatever you want to call it. He is bigger than a single base, so he cannot be TK'd. He cannot be placed by TK. So his TK is not meant for him. So he has to be moved by somebody else, and that is none other than Falcon, the only guy for the job here. He can get our Captain America across the map and still allow him to make an attack. So if you guys don't already know, we'll take a look here. He, of course, has Avengers TA as well, so he can get +1 attack on whatever you choose. And he has a special trait here that for a move action, he can move, and then after resolutions, you may choose a standard friendly character that shares a keyword with Falcon that he moved through during this action. If you do, place that character adjacent to him. So very, very powerful effect. Basically, first turn, these guys are going to be adjacent, and you're going to move him 1 square through him, and then 2, 3, 4, etc. And then, after resolutions, he can place him adjacent, and then, since that's not carrying, it's just being placed, kind of like with TK, then he can hypersonic out and make some attacks and stuff. So Falcon, very, very useful for that. It's the only way we can get him out and into the fight. He also has a special movement power that gives him charge. When he uses it after resolutions, roll a d6, move him up to a number of squares equal to half the result. So kind of like hypersonic, because he can hit and run away. He also has energy shield deflection and toughness on his defense power, so it doesn't really benefit from the ESD that Cap provides, but still, he does get a +1 potentially when he uses charge. If you need to give him that buff, he could get the +1, so it could give him that extra reach he might have otherwise been missing. But yeah, so then, in order to combo with these guys, we're going to be playing the new super rare Miss Marvel. And she is from the new Avengers 60th set, and she is just so good. I got beaten by a team with 2 of her with animals. It's a very, very good team. And yeah, so if you're wondering why that is, because she has a trait here, when establishing theme teams, choose a keyword for Miss Marvel to gain this game. If Miss Marvel is on a theme team for a keyword printed on her card, she can use probability control. If she's on a theme team for a keyword not printed on her card, she can use perplex. So she gets to choose any keyword when establishing theme teams, and then if she's on a theme team for a keyword she already has, in this case she is, then she gets probability control. So she gets traded prob, and then I also don't want to forget to point out she has traded close combat expert and shape change. So shape change being one of the best defensive powers there is right now, because this guy exists and can turn off all your defense powers. And shape change is technically a damage power, so it can still, potentially save you from getting hit by Captain America. So that's nice, and the close combat expert is great to up your damage and attack. But the main reason we're playing her is this special movement power, which is free. Choose one to last until you choose again. Tiny size. When an adjacent character begins a move after resolutions, you may place Miss Marvel adjacent to them. I wonder how that's gonna work out. So, in case you guys didn't know, you could have them kind of set up like this. So as long as you have these two adjacent, Falcon can move through Captain America, move out the rest of his speed, placing Captain America, so then he can use hypersonic speed. But after he's done moving, she can also place herself adjacent to Falcon. And again, that's not being carried. So even with all that, he can still carry somebody. So you could carry out one of your Scott Porters or something, which is really crazy. Because after she places herself with that power, this is a free power to choose one to last until you choose again, which is very important, because if turn 1 you choose tiny size and then turn 2 you actually go out and attack stuff, she still has this effect. And then that's important because you can, after placing herself, choose to use the free again and choose a different one to give her either standard size and flurry or colossal size and charge. So usually you're going to want to go standard size flurry because Captain America, when he hits, can give somebody charge, aka Miss Marvel, and then she can use the flurry from her own effect to, charge flurry and get a ton of damage in because she'll have traded close combat expert as well as potentially being adjacent to Captain America for his top dial and power. So that's kind of our first offensive run, Falcon getting Captain America in place, placing her next to him. He charges in there. She pops up next to him. She can charge flurry in there. But we have one more main attacker to talk about, and that is, of course, the Prime Spider-Man. This is still my pretty much all-time favorite figure. I love the Spider-Man so much. I cannot stop playing him. He's just too fun and too freaking good. So in case you guys haven't seen him already, he has a wall crawler trait that gives him leap climb and free, place this character in a square of different elevation within 4 squares in line of fire. And then subconscious crime fighting, free. If Spider-Man has 2 action tokens, give him a costed action as free. If you did, after resolutions, deal Spider-Man 1 unavoidable damage. So he just never has to stop fighting. He can just keep taking actions. Once he gets to 2, he can take a free action. And the next turn, he can take a free action and clear. And then just keep going after that. So super, super powerful effect. And we're playing him at the full 80 points. I don't think I mentioned, sorry, we are playing Miss Marvel at 50. So she is going to be at the low dial, the 50-point line. 110 is too much. We're playing her at 50. I think I forgot to mention that. But we are playing Spider-Man at the full 80-point line. So he's going to have his amazing movement power there that gives him charge, flurry, and sidestep. And that's very important because you need the sidestep, and the flurry just massively increases his damage potential. So he will have the perplex as well if need be. And on his defense, he's got super senses, impervious, protected, outwit, which is great because he has Spider-Man TA to get +1 to the senses rolls. And, don't forget, as long as all these characters are running up there fighting, and if they're at least adjacent to one other person, he's giving them all +1 defense. He's also giving them all energy shield deflection to help from range attacks. And he's giving them all +1 to attack. So pretty crazy. Now, I also want to point out here that with this Scott Porter, the team ability I would most likely choose is the Spider-Man team ability, just to give him the +1 to his own senses roll. Since he can choose any team ability, we just have Avengers, Spider-Man, and team player. So you could choose team player, and if you wanted to, you could swap between Avengers and Spider-Man, but he's not really going to be doing any attacking, so there's not really much point in that. I would just choose Spider-Man unless your opponent has a really, really strong team ability. You could steal like Power Cosmic or Mystics if you wanted to give him one of those or something, or like Batman team ability for stealth. There's a lot of cool things you could do, but those are all unknown things. So depending on what your opponent has team ability wise, you might change it, but otherwise Spider-Man is what we're going with for him. And then he can copy Avengers team ability because he's actually going to be making some attacks with Pulse Wave. Getting that +1 is going to be really nice. So you can take advantage of that with his Pulse Wave. Now, there's also a lot of equipment on this team I want to talk about real quick. And starting us off here is going to be Skybreaker. We're playing this on Captain America because it gives Blades, Claws, Fangs, and once per turn, when a character uses it after resolutions, they may make a range attack using improved targeting adjacent, but only to target a hit character. The reason this is so good is because as long as Captain America single targets, which you have to use Blades anyway, then they can't use defense powers, of course. So he gets blades, which could potentially hit for more damage than his 3. You know, he might roll a 1 or 2, which would suck, but hey, you have potential to deal massive damage, and even if you only roll a 3 or 2 or something, it gets another attack using a range attack, so he can then shoot for 3. And a lot of times, you know, even on average, hitting for like 3 with this and then shooting for 3, the whole time they can't use defense powers. So average like 6 damage, he's gonna kill something most of the time, right? Unless you roll low on blades the first attack and then you just hit for 3, maybe they might survive. But good odds of killing just about any single target the first turn with this combo, because as long as you roll semi-decently on blades, like 3, 4, 5, 6, probably going to kill something, and if you don't, you get that second attack option as well. So very, very strong equipment to put on Captain America to make more attacks against single targets and just really try to finish them off in one go. And now Spider-Man has a lot of great options. Of course, the best one just rotated out. We no longer have all black Necro Sword. So I thought the next best thing to try out that's still very similar is the Muramasa Blade, which gives Blade's Claws Fangs. And when this character uses it and rolls a 1 through 3, the hit character can't use defense powers until the beginning of your next turn. So again, very similar to what Captain America does, just shutting off defense powers altogether. And Spider-Man's making so many attacks, odds are one of those attacks is going to be a 1 through 3 on blades. So there's good odds of just shutting off their defense powers altogether until your next turn. Now it does kind of suck because on the first hit, they are still going to have whatever defense power they have, which could stop you if it's like super senses or combat reflexes or something. It might make it harder to hit. It might make them dodge it. But like I said, if they miss that first senses and you hit 1 through 3, they no longer have any defense powers. You can just keep hitting them over and over. And you don't have to roll for the blades after that first one. If you just want to hit for his 4 damage, that's fine too. Yeah, so I like that one personally. There's a lot of other great options you could put on Spider-Man. You could just give him the black symbiote for free, and that way he has stealth and steal energy. But I think that with this Scott Porter being able to heal him up every turn, not having that, is still pretty much fine. And there's a lot of other great swords you could put on him too. Might can give him blades that's minimum printed damage +1, so he could be swinging for 5 damage every time. There's I think Pog Your Pog is like Giant Reach 3 or something crazy. And then there's the one that gives like plasticity and shape change and blades, which, gives him another rollout, and the plasticity is useful too. So there's a lot of really good sword options for him. But for now, I'm trying out the Muramasa Blade. Like I said, I haven't had a lot of time to test, so I'm hoping it works okay, but I guess we'll find out. And then we also have some free equipment we can throw on here. So we do have this Scott Porter right here in the white shirt, gets all keywords all the time. So you can give him any equipment that is keyword based and he can get it for free. So we're going to give him a Sinestro Core ring. That's going to give him the Perplex and the ability to pop out, all those little construct pogs for free. So that's going to be amazing and super useful. Just another Perplex for the team. And, being able to pull out a barrier or a chainsaw or a boot or whatever you need at any moment is really, really powerful. So that is definitely what we're going to put on him. However, I will say that for Scott Porter here, you could give him any ring, right? So there's a lot of good options. The blue ring is also really good for the Empower and everything. And, they're all good. They're all decent options, right? You could give him the Mystics one because he does have a stop click with regen, so it might take him a few hits to get through. But I just like the extra Perplex. There's so many stat modifications on this team anyway. But regardless, more Perplex doesn't really hurt. So for that reason, I wanted to give him that one. And now we still have 10 points left. You could give, this Scott Porter a ring. And he could also take a power action to make constructs. Or, just have the effects of the ring, right? You give him the Indigo ring, so his support rolls are +1 if you wanted to do something like that. But instead of going that route, I thought of something actually pretty awesome. Because Miss Marvel here can also choose any keyword when establishing theme teams. Nothing in there says that it has to be the theme that you are playing with, right? So when establishing theme teams, you can give her any Lantern Corps keyword, and you can equip her with any of those rings, Now, you won't get the ring for free because that's too late. That's after force construction, which is when you would get it for 0. However, it does give her the ability to use the ring for free and generate constructs for free instead of a power action. So it just does open up a whole nother world of possibilities for her, you know, once she's been placed and everything, to be able to generate a construct if you really wanted to go that route. So I was going to put the blue ring on her because she does already have Empower. So if you can already use it, it gives you +1 attack to adjacent friendlies, making close attacks. So it's just another +1 attack. Again, you could give her any ring. You could give her orange for plasticity so she can lock people up and get out easier or whatever. You could give her the violet for mystics. You could give her literally any of them. Red for some sneaky poison damage or something. You know, tons of options there. But I just think that's a really cool combo. Being able to choose any Lantern Core keyword and be able to generate things for free is going to be really strong. However, I will say one alternate idea here that you could use if you didn't want to use all this equipment, because there are things like King Killmonger, which is a very, very strong figure, as well as, you know, like Apocalypse and Genesis prize figures that when you hit them, you immediately KO your equipment, basically, which can suck. And also, you know, with King Killmonger, he's got, like, for himself and all adjacent friendlies, get like a 50-50 rollout against anybody that's equipped. So since all of our main attackers are equipped, you know, that would suck if we run into that. So one option is you could drop a sword from Spidey and drop the ring from her. That gives you 20 more points. I would still give him the sword personally, and I would just give him, if you wanted to equip him with anything, you could just give him the symbiote for free. That's fine, but that gives us 20 points to free up, and we can bring in the Spirit of the Game Pog. I actually think this Pog is pretty legit. It does have a trait here that says if Spirit of the Game is on a theme team at the beginning of the turn, action total +1. So what's really important about that, if we go that route, is we're using, on our first like offensive run here, we're using 1 action for him to move, 1 action for him to hypersonic and attack, and then 1 action for him to TK, and then 1 action for him to charge flurry. So that's our 4 actions, because he's our leadership, right? So that takes up all of our actions. We can still do some stuff for free, but even if we like make some constructs for free, there's nothing they can do. And then she's just kind of left sitting there, you know, maybe to prob or whatever. But this giving us an extra action means that, you know, Falcon carries him up. He could free make a Pog that could, you know, attack somebody. Or more likely, I would say, she would be the one to use that 5th action to get charge from him, pick Flurry, and charge Flurry in there. So you've got him attacking twice with the sword, him charge Flurrying in, and then getting another free action to attack, and then her charge Flurrying. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 potential attacks off of 5 actions, turn 1, which is very powerful. So that's one option. I mean, I'm still kind of testing, like I said, so I don't know if I like that over just giving them the equipment. So if you guys have the time and test that out yourself and let me know in the comments how that does, that would be awesome. One other thing I do want to talk about real quickly is just some sideline options. I do want to point out again that the white shirt Scott Porter has all keywords all the time. So when he's hit, he has Stark Industries keyword, so we can bring in a War Machine from our sideline. If you don't know what he does, here's a quick look at his card. Sideline active once per game for all characters with this trait. When a friendly character with the Stark Industries keyword is damaged by an attack, after resolutions, you may generate a War Machine from your sideline and click number 4. Adjacent to that character, if War Machine started the game due to this trait, when he would take damage, instead remove him from the game, and your opponent scores 10 points instead of his full point value. Then he's got this awesome special defense power, which invuln super senses. When an adjacent friendly character with armor or Stark Industries keywords is attacked, the attacking character can't positively modify their combat values except range. So actually bringing him in adjacent to Scott Porter when he takes a hit is great, because then it gives him that you know, kind of protection that they can't modify their combat values anymore, and just gets you another cheap little attacker to come in the game. And also, when Scott Porter would be KO'd, he has the Mystery Ink keyword, so we can pop out Scrappy Doo. Now, the funny thing is, actually, he's got Celebrity, and both the Scott Porters just naturally have Celebrity anyway. I think she also has Celebrity, So there's a lot of options you can actually bring in this Scrappy Dude normally, but specifically if the white shirt Scott Porter gets KO'd, he also has all keywords, meaning he could bring in Scrappy at full points because he would have the Mystery Inc. keyword. But yeah, Sideline active: when a friendly character at 60 points or less is KO'd after resolutions, generate Scrappy Doo from your sideline and click number 3. If the KO'd character's square, if they had Mystery Inc., he comes in at number 1 instead. Then he's got another trait that when he hits, choose one to last until your next turn. Hit characters can't be given free actions, or hit characters gain immobile. Super powerful. I kind of always forget that's a thing, but it's really, really good. Then you also have toughness, and he takes a maximum of 1 damage from monster and mystical keyworded characters, which is very, very strong. But yeah, either click 1 or click 3. Either way, very, very powerful. Oh, he also has close combat expert and outwit, so that is nice because we don't really have any outwit on this team, so that could bring in an outwit, which is kind of nice. And last but not least, one other sideline option. I know there's a lot for keywords this really shouldn't work with, but if you don't end up putting a ring on her, you can give her, well, you could give her Mystery Inc. also, so you could have Scrappy come in for that. But another option is you could give her Teen Titans, and you could have Red Raven pop in for her when she's KO'd, because she has this trait, Sideline active: when a friendly character of 40 points or more with the Teen Titans keyword is KO'd after resolutions, you may generate Red Robin from your sideline on click number 4. In that character's square. If the KO'd character was named Raven, you're going to get her on click number 1 instead, so you don't get that. But hey, it's another potential sideline call-in when a character is KO'd, right? She also just has Charge Flurry and Battle Fury and Blades Claws and Super Senses, so yeah, just a lot of cool stuff you could do with that, potentially. Like I said, if you go the route where you don't equip her with anything, just give her Teen Titans. Have this come in. Boom. Easy free character there. So that's the team, as well as some kind of sideline options and slightly altered build options there if you want to use the Pog or use more equipment. That's entirely up to you. I'm still testing that out myself. Now, before we end this, I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown of what your first couple turns should look like. Okay, so here we go. This is kind of sort of what you want to see your setup looking like. This isn't even like perfectly 100% ideal because this elevated kind of messes with us, but it still works for the example. So let's get to it here. Turn 1, all you want to do is 100% make sure you declare that Miss Marvel picks tiny size for her effect, because you do want her to have tiny size and the effect that when an adjacent character moves after resolutions, she can be placed adjacent to them. Then you want to give Spider-Man an action. You can give him an action to move 0 squares. Don't forget that. So we're just going to give him an action token here and just assume, boom, he's moved 0 squares. That's not going to mess up your first turn immunity because he hasn't left his starting area. And, he's still in his starting square, right? So you're good. You can perplex up defense or whatever if you want, just to kind of remember it. That's pretty much all you really have to do turn 1. Also, don't forget at the beginning of the game to choose a team ability for your Avengers team ability to get the +1 attack against. That's also pretty important. But then going into turn 2, after the first round immunity is all over and done with, and it's assuming you're first player, and this is our first real attack turn. What you're going to want to do is first think about how you want to use your perplexes. You've got a perplex here, here, and here. You're probably going to want to have him perplex his own attack. Probably want to have him perplex either his movement or his attack, whatever you think you might need. Count out your squares. Make sure to do that. You're going to want to make sure to sidestep him to where he's adjacent to him so he can carry him, because he's going to move then 1 square here through Captain America's square, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which is just outside of where my camera can see. So we're going to assume here is 8. Just pretend that's 8 squares, okay? For, demonstration purposes. So we're going to plop him adjacent somewhere. He's going to come in adjacent. And the cool thing about this is he can be placed, like this. He's a double base character, so he kind of gets that free extra placement because he's still being placed adjacent, but you get that free extra square because he's a long boy. So you get that little extra reach there. And then she can also place adjacent. So you just want to make sure she's adjacent to Captain America when you place her. So it doesn't really matter if she's here, here, or here. You could have him there. She could be up there, whatever. However you want to, place them, as long as you're going to want to make sure he's got line of fire for his prob, and you're going to want to make sure she has adjacency to Captain America is the main thing. Actually, at this point, you could use your Perplex on his attack if you wanted to also, but then you're just going to hypersonic in there with Captain America, you know? So he can move 8 squares, which means he's going to be placing Captain America in square like 9 and 10, and he has an 8 movement hypersonic, so he can get all the way into your opponent's starting area and then still back out a few squares if he really wanted to. So he's just going to hypersonic in there, you know, however, again, demonstration purposes, let's just say he's over there, right? And then he's going to get his attack, assuming he's got the Skybreaker and he hits his attack with his, you know, probably Perplexed up, probably Avengers TA, him giving him map wide +1. He's going to probably be like a 14 attack. So, and you got potentially 2 probs on it over here. You know, she's still tiny at this point, so like he could see over it, assuming it was, you know, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, you got 2 probs lined up on it. If you really, really absolutely have to, you got the community token prob type reroll thing over there as well. So 3 potential rerolls to make sure that attack hits. You could also reroll the blades. If you're like a 1 on blades and you wanted to use that community token, you could do that to reroll that, because it's any roll, doesn't have to be attacks or breakaways like prob. It's not prob. So just keep that in mind. You get that attack off. Then with Skybreaker, you could make a range attack. He could attack again, single target, get another 3 damage in. And after resolutions, she can place herself adjacent to Captain America if she wants to, because, you know, he was also adjacent when he moves. She can, that's not once per turn, so she can also, again, place herself adjacent somewhere. Bad positioning because he's on elevated, so you wouldn't be able to go there, but you know what I mean. Again, demonstrational purposes. My camera cannot see enough of the map, I'm sorry, but you get the point here. She can place herself adjacent, and if you wanted to, after he hits, he can give people 2 characters charge +1 speed. You give her charge +1 speed mainly. You can give it to him too, just so he can have the extra speed if need be. Then you take the free action to switch to tiny size or regular size and flurry, because that is, like I said, until you choose again. So turn 1, you choose tiny size, place on turn 2. Turn 2, after she's done placing herself, she wants to go regular size to get the flurry. Again, if we're not running this guy, we don't have enough actions really for her to charge flurry, but it's an option. If you don't have enough actions, you could make her colossal size, actually. And that way she can see over everybody, so she can prob stuff without, you know, blocking line of fire from other characters or whatever. So that's also an option. And then over here, you're going to have him TK out Spider-Man 1, 2, 3, 4. Spider-Man's going to place himself on elevated, which you can bring your own elevated now. So there's a ton of elevated on this map, but even assuming there wasn't, he could place himself out 1, 2, 3, 4 again onto a shipping container or something. Again, can't see the whole map. Sorry about that. But then he can sidestep, picking up the shipping container. I've talked about this trick a few times. He's got super strength, so he can pick that up, and then he can charge +1 speed thanks to Cap, and he can get in there and he can charge flurry on some stuff. Actually, depending on how you place Miss Marvel, right, you could get potentially 2 empowers on his flurry, so he could be flurrying for 6 on some people. Again, unless you give him the sword, right, then you're going to want to roll the blades, hope to get a 1 through 3 so they can't use defense powers, and then just continue to do normal attacks, because you're probably going to be doing more damage with the empower. But if you don't need the sword, you know, if he already kind of did his job against the most annoying defense character, then, you know, Spider-Man with his own Perplex, and this guy over here, he's already going to be at least a minimum 13. If she does have the Empower Ring, he's 14, or otherwise he could just Perplex his attack up to be a 14. So pretty much our main attackers are all going to have like 13, 14 attack most of the time, if not all the time. So yeah, charge flurry, get tons of damage in. Then he gets a second token, right? And that's important because then he can take an action to make an attack, or charge over here or on somebody else or whatever. He could use the terrain he picked up to smack somebody with super strength, which may or may not be necessary given the double empower there, but you get my point. It's tons of freaking damage this team can do. You can get all the way across the map with both of them. They can potentially get through any and all defense powers. And then, like I said, if you were choosing not to run as much equipment, and you had the extra points to spare to have this guy giving us a +1 to action totals, then she could also charge flurry on somebody, right? So that's another a couple attacks. And if you're next to, you know, the Captain America, then boom, she's got like close combat expert. She'd be 4 damage, 11, 12, Avengers TA, potentially 13 attack for 4 damage flurry. Pretty crazy. And even if you didn't wipe everybody completely and they get a strong turn, they just kill your Captain America. Maybe they even kill Miss Marvel. Maybe they even injure Spider-Man. You know, he can click on Spider-Man across the map, and then he can like sidestep, pulse wave everybody, knock them back into a wall. He can charge in there. He could potentially pull Spider-Man out of a fight if need be. And he's still got 2 action tokens. He could freaking charge on somebody else for free, whatever. Like, you still have some good offensive options there, even if you lose a couple of them. So, yeah, and then he could, you know, free pop out Construct to flurry blades with the freaking chainsaw or the boot or whatever. Or he could even place a stop sign and you could barrier around everybody or whatever. You know, you get the point. I think there's lots of options there for like turn 3 and beyond if you were to lose some of your attackers. I don't see Spider-Man dying turn 2, because that just honestly doesn't really happen. He's really hard to get through. So but these guys, they kind of can die in like one shot, so very possible to lose them. But like I said, still got options with the pulse wave knockback. Can make a construct to attack. He's got a decent charge attack there, and you still got a ton of damage from him, and he's still healing them. You know, as long as they're all adjacent. That's another thing. It's going to be really actually hard to hit them all on that turn 2, because you know, these guys are adjacent over here. They are all adjacent over here. So he's giving them all +1 defense. He's giving them all ESD from range attacks. You've got prob here, prob here. You've got prob across the map technically from him. And they're all like 19 defense because of the +1s. You got lots of perplexes. If you didn't need them for attack, you could perplex up defense. Also, like, bruh. There's a lot of options. I like the team a lot. I think it has a lot of potential. I'm going to be doing some playtesting with it. I know I started kind of getting pretty crazy there. I hope that you could follow all that. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments. So yeah, you guys, I hope you enjoyed watching. Like I said, I hope you followed all that, and that was good. A good explanation. It's a great team. I like it a lot. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash the like button. It does help me out a lot. Don't forget to click the subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. And if you'd like to help support the channel even more, you can check the links in the description for our Patreon, where you can see your name here in the credits with all these other awesome people, as well as be entered into our monthly giveaways. So check that out if that interests you. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one, you guys. Thanks again so much for watching. Until next time, this has been Heroclix Headquarters, signing off.